Hi everyone, and welcome to this video tutorial on how to work out orders from initial rates data. And in this video we're going to look at how we can work out orders for things when the concentrations of the other two reagents aren't constant. The first place we always start with these then is to find a pair of experiments, so any two of these experiments where concentrations of the other things remain constant, whereas the concentration of the thing that we're trying to find the order of is changing. So this applies to experiment 1 and 2. If we compare experiments 1 and 2, we can see the concentration of the bromate and the H plus are both constant, and the concentration of the bromide is changing. And we can annotate our table. So if we look at these concentrations, we can see that's going up by a factor of 3. And that means the fact that these are constant, whatever this effect is on the rate is just coming from the effect of changing the concentration of the bromide. So in our calculator, we will pop in 7.56 times 10 to the minus 4 over 2.52 times 10 to the minus 4, and we'll see that the rate is also going up by a factor of 3. So that's telling us that the reaction is first order with respect to bromide ions. So if we look at the rest of these experiments then, we'll see that there's no other two where the concentrations of two of the things remain constant and just one is changing. So we're going to have to just go ahead and choose a pair of experiments. So let's go for 3 and 4 then. We can see that the concentration of the bromate is constant, the concentration of H plus is changing, and the concentration of bromide is changing. Now, since we had to choose some where the concentrations are changing, I've made sure to choose this one because we've already found out the order with respect to the bromide. That means that we can use that to find out the effect that this would have on the rate, and whatever's left is the effect from H plus. So let's have a look at this then. So the bromide is decreasing by a factor of 2, so it's dividing by 2 going that way, and this one, the H plus, is increasing by a factor of 5. Now I'm going to see what the effect on the rate is. So this effect on the rate is the combined effect of the bromide halving and the H plus increasing by a factor of 5. So I'm going to do this number over this number. And we'll see the rate is increasing by a factor of 12.5. So where do we go from there then? So if the bromide is first order, and that is decreasing by a factor of 2, or we could say it's increasing by a factor of 0.5, same thing, we'd expect the rate to also increase by a factor of 0.5 since it's first order. So we'd expect the rate to go from 2.52 times 10 to the minus 4 to half of that value. So that is the effect from just the bromide by itself. But we can see the combined effect from the bromide and the H plus has resulted in this. So in order to find the effect from H plus, I'm going to do the actual rate over the effect from the bromide. So the actual rate is this one, and the effect from the bromide, because we know it's first order, is this one, and whatever we get here will be the effect from H plus, and then we can work out its order. 25. You might be thinking, well, what now? So we can see that H plus is going up 5 times. So the concentration of H plus. And if we look at 25, so the rate is going up by 5 squared, which is 25 times. So that means the order with respect to H plus is second. Now let's have a look at this bromate ion. So if we look at experiments 2 and 3, we can see that the concentration of H plus remains constant, whereas the concentration of the bromate is changing, which will allow us to find its order through the effect of this along with this on the rate. So let's see what's changing then with the bromide. I'm going from experiments 3 to 2. So on my calculator, 6 times 10 to the minus 2 over 4 times 10 to the minus 2. So that's going up by a factor of 1.5, whereas this one is going up by a factor of 2. And let's see what's happening to the rate. 7.56 times 10 to the minus 4 over 2.52 times 10 to the minus 4. So that's going up by 3 times. And the rate going up by 3 times is the combined effect of the change in concentration from the bromate and the bromide. Now we know that the bromide is first order. So if that goes up by 1.5 times, it will do the same to the rate. And this time we're starting from this and we're going this way. We know it's first order, so the effect of the bromide on the rate would be 2.52 times 10 to the minus 4 times 1.5. Which is this. But we can see that the rate is going up to this value. So what we're going to do then is to work out the effect on the rate from the bromate ion. We are going to do this, the effect on the rate from the bromide, divided by the actual rate, this one, what the rate ends up being. So let's write it out. Actual rate over effect from bromide. Over this value. And whatever number we get as our answer is what the bromate is doing to the rate, and then we can work out its order. 2. So the bromate is causing the rate to increase by a factor of 2, and if we look at what the bromate's doing, it's also increasing by a factor of 2. So the bromate is first order. If any of that was confusing, just leave a comment down below. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. See you again soon. Bye.